You can use Impasto gel or modeling compound to create image transfers. And image transfers can add a totally new dimension to your works. You want to use an image that's been photocopied or one that's been printed on a laser printer, and you want to make sure that it's an image that you've taken or it's something that's copyright free. And how you create them is super easy. In this example, I'm going to use the Impasto gel. I have my photocopied image of my little boy, and what I'm going to do is take some Impasto gel and I'm going to apply the Impasto gel directly on top. And I'm going to make sure that I apply Impasto gel vertically as well as horizontally so I can eliminate my brush strokes. And you can see that I'm going outside the image just a little bit. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I'll leave myself some room to trim and some room to cut in. Now, the Impasto gel is going to be a little bit milky when it goes on, but it is going to dry clear. And it is going to take a while to dry. You want to let your image transfer dry overnight if possible, or at least 8 hours, because you want to give that ink time to work itself into the acrylic medium. You do not want to use hair dryers to try and speed that process along. It doesn't work too well. Now, once I have a good layer down, about 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch or so, I'm going to put this aside and let it dry. And you'll know that it's safe to move on to the next stage when your image now looks nice and clear. This transfer has been drying overnight, and so I'm ready to move on to the second stage, which is when I need to remove my paper backing. What I like to do is to use my water sprayer, and I'll spray and get my paper nice and wet. Sometimes I'll soak it in a tub for a little bit, or even apply a wet but not dripping washcloth on top to get that paper wet. Then I use my fingers and I just kind of slowly rub in a circular motion, and I start to remove that paper backing. And as you can see, what's happening is that the ink has now transferred into the Impasto gel, and the end result is going to end up being a clear image that I'll be able to collage directly into my painting. Now, sometimes this process of removing the paper backing can take a little while, and that's because as this dries, you'll see a white film, which is where the paper has been left behind. So don't be surprised. It usually doesn't happen on the first try. Usually it takes 2 or 3 times to remove that paper backing. I won't do all of this right now because this is a bigger image, but you can see that what will happen is that I'll end up with a clear image that I'll be able to apply, once it's all done, directly to my painting. Now, in this painting, I've used Impasto gel in 2 different ways to create my image transfers. I've created, just like I did my little boy, where I've applied my Impasto gel on top, rubbed the paper backing away, and then I've adhered my images using some more Impasto gel and painted directly on top. I've also applied Impasto gel directly to my surface and then taken my image, laid it face down, rubbed the back of my image to make sure I had good adhesion, let it sit overnight, and then remove that paper backing. So now I have 2 little sea creatures that have been transferred directly onto my surface. Now, you can then, of course, paint these images, using your interactive acrylics right on top, or this example of my little boy here, I've actually applied paint to the back side using my interactive to make it a little bit more of a frosted look, a little bit more of a vintage type feel, and now I can just use a little bit of Impasto gel or even a little bit of binder medium and just adhere my image once I decide where he wants to go.